everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video on the different types of feeder insects you can feed your leopard geckos and the nutritional values of them, so you can decide what to feed your Leo. Leopard geckos are insectivores, which means they eat only live insects. Some commercial foods are available, like grub pie, but these are mainly to add variety to diet or for sick and underweight geckos to gain weight. The first feeder I'm going to talk about are mealworms. Mealworms are the larval stage of the darkling beetle. They reach about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, or 2.5 to 4 centimetres. They're an easy feeder to keep because they make no noise and they don't have much of a smell. They can also be pretty easily bred, so owners can start their own colony to save money on feeding their Leos. The nutritional value of mealworms is 60% moisture, 13% fat, 20% protein, and 32.8 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams. Mealworms turn into pupae at around 5 weeks of age, and then they stay pupae for about 1 to 3 weeks before becoming darkling beetles. At that point they lay eggs of their own. Mealworms will pupate around other worms, so you have to make sure to remove them quickly or else their friends might eat them. Darkling beetles are not a feeder themselves because their exoskeletons are pretty tough and difficult for leopard geckos to digest. Another perk of mealworms is the fact that these guys are really easy to gut load. Gut loading, simply put for people who don't know, is where you feed your insects good food to make sure that there's no parasites inside them, that they're healthy, happy, fat, and that your Leos will enjoy them. I feed my mealworms and beetles mainly carrots and potatoes, but they also like collard greens and squash amongst other things. These guys are ravenous, so will completely decimate any food put in there. The last thing I love about mealworms is the fact that any of my picky eaters who tend to not concentrate on their food too much love them because they continuously move around and catch their attention. Morio worms, also called superworms, are very similar to mealworms both physically and in care requirements. They are the larval stage of the morio beetle. These guys are a good bit bigger than mealworms, reaching around 2.5 to 3 inches or roughly 6 to 8 centimetres in length. The main difference between morio worms and mealworms is they will only pupate if they're on their own. If you want to breed them, you have to separate them. I use a box that I found in a hardware store that's meant to be used for nails and tacks and such. When they're ready to pupate, they will curl up, like this little guy down here in the corner. They change into a pupa after a few days, and will stay like that for roughly 2 weeks until they're ready to emerge as a beetle. This guy here is only recently after becoming a pupa. You can see his shed skin in the corner, which was the skin he had when he was a worm. Here you can see some of the pupae. The one on the back is nearly ready to change into a beetle. You can see his legs have darkened and his body is more of a brown than a yellow. Morio beetles are black and roughly 1 inch long. The brown one here is a fresh beetle. They have a lighter colour because the exoskeleton hasn't fully hardened yet. The beetles can be cared for exactly like darkling beetles. They like a substrate of oats and enjoy collard greens, carrots, potatoes and other fruits and vegetables. I personally really like to feed my guys morio worms because they're easy to keep and my guys really like them. I tend to feed my Leos mealworms as babies and superworms as adults. It's a general rule of thumb that you should try to only feed your Leos food that is no wider than the space between their eyes and no longer than their heads. This rule works for most feeders, including mealworms, morio worms, crickets, locusts, and my favourite, dubia roaches. Dubia roaches are the best of the feeders I've talked about in this video. They have significantly more calcium than either mealworms or morio worms. They also have roughly half the fat and slightly more protein. They're easy to keep and can be housed in a large tub with cardboard egg crates to lay eggs on. They do need a temperature of around 32 to 35 degrees Celsius or 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit to breed, but this is easy to achieve with a heat mat and a thermostat. I keep my guys in a bioactive tub so I don't have to clean up their frass or poop. My Leos all go wild for dubias. The only downside I've experienced is when scared, dubias can spray a liquid musk to scare away predators. But this hasn't ever been an issue for me or my Leos, and as you can see, Diesel didn't particularly mind either. So that's it for this video. I hope I've helped some of you, and if you have any questions, just comment below and I'll try my best to help. Thank you for watching.